Imagine
Welcome to
for
the
a
Deep
second
Dive.
being able
Today
to.
we're tuning into something, well, truly fundamental. The idea that reality itself is essentially vibrational energy.
Yeah, it's a fascinating concept.
Like, think about it. Everything that seems so solid is actually, at its core, just this dynamic dance of oscillations.
Yeah.
From the tiniest quantum level right up to, well, everything.
And life itself fits right into that picture. It's like this incredibly complex, beautiful expression of that universal vibration.
Absolutely. Which brings us straight to the human body, right?
Exactly. It's not just, bones and tissues. It's this complex bioresonance
The
field.
bioresonance field.
Yeah, every single cell, every tissue, every organ, when we're healthy, they're all vibrating at their own specific optimal frequencies.
Okay.
But when those vibrations get out of sync, become disharmonious,
Right.
that's often when we start seeing what we call disease.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. So,
Yes.
bioresonance therapy, is it about using external vibrations?
Essentially, yes. It explores using external vibrations that kind of match or resonate with our body's natural frequencies.
And the goal isn't just symptoms.
Not primarily, no. It's more about gently guiding those imbalanced vibrations back towards their natural harmonious state. The idea is to activate our own built-in healing systems.
Right, promoting that overall life field balance you mentioned.
Precisely. And that's what we're diving into today. We'll look at the scientific ideas behind it, maybe touch on some history, and explore the different ways it's being used.
Great, and for everyone listening who wants to get a good handle on complex ideas without feeling, overwhelmed, that's what we aim for.
Exactly. We'll try to make it clear and thorough.
So, to even start wrapping our heads around this vibrational universe, feels like we need a bit of a mind shift, away from just the purely physical stuff we usually focus on. Where do we begin with that?
Well, it's a shift that modern physics really kicked off. You think about Einstein's famous equation, E mc abo.
Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared.
Right. It basically showed that matter and energy aren't these totally separate things. They're fundamentally linked, like two sides of the same coin.
Different forms of the same thing.
Exactly. So this body that feels so solid, at its heart, it's energy. And if it's energy, it might just respond to vibrational influences, right?
Makes sense. Energy and matter are interchangeable, so how does vibration fit in?
Well, quantum physics took it even deeper. It showed that at the most fundamental level, everything, all matter exists as these vibrating energy fields.
Vibrating fields, not solid bits.
Well, yes and no. The energy isn't smooth. It comes in these tiny discrete packets called quanta. Planck's constant defines them. Think about light, it's made of photons. Energy comes in these little vibrational units.
So everything deep down is vibrating energy in these little packets. Wow. That really changes how you think about stuff.
It absolutely does. And then you have wave-particle duality.
Yes, things being both a wave and a particle at the same time.
Exactly. So these quantum bits, they act like particles sometimes, but they also act like waves. That wave nature really highlights the vibrational quality of everything at its core. It's not just sitting there, it's also like a propagating wave of energy.
Okay, so the building blocks are these vibrating wave particles. What about quantum field theory? How does that add to the picture?
Quantum field theory gives us an even more connected view. It suggests the universe isn't just separate particles bouncing around. It's more like continuous interacting energy
It's
fields.
fields, not particles.
Fields are the fundamental thing. They're constantly fluctuating, exchanging energy. So instead of separate vibrating things, picture this vast dynamic ocean of vibrations. Everything's interconnected.
Like ripples spreading out.
Precisely. A disturbance in one spot can affect the whole system.
A cosmic web of vibrations. I like that image.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the big picture physics. How does this trickle down to us, to the human body, like at the cellular level?
Okay, yeah, great question. That's where biofield theory comes in. Researchers have actually found that living systems, right down to our individual cells, have their own weak but measurable electromagnetic fields.
Really? Our cells have electromagnetic fields.
They do. And these fields aren't just like side effects. They seem to be actively involved in how cells talk to each other and how the body regulates itself.
Okay.
So biofield theory suggests these cellular fields kind of organize into a larger, coherent field around the whole body. And this biofield plays a really important role in our health.
So our cells aren't just little chemical factories. They're buzzing electromagnetically, creating this bigger field.
You got it. And pioneers like Robert Becker, his work showed that biological systems actively use and respond to electromagnetic signals for really vital stuff like communication and self-regulation.
Like sending messages.
Kind of. Think about ion channels on our cell membranes. They're like tiny gates.
Okay.
Well, they open and close in response to very specific frequencies, like little vibrational keys unlocking gates.
Wow, frequency-sensitive gates on our cells.
Exactly. And there's even some really fascinating research hinting that structures inside the cells, like microtubules, might be acting as channels for quantum information.
Quantum information.
Like super fast.
Subtle communication.
Potentially, yes. Suggesting even deeper, more subtle vibrational pathways within our biology.
It's like our cells have this intricate vibrational internet going on. You mentioned water, too. How does water fit in?
Water. Crucial. Since our cells are mostly water, its role is huge. It seems water is incredibly sensitive to vibration.
Sensitive how?
It's not just a passive solvent for chemicals. It might actually store and transmit vibrational information. Studies have shown water molecules can form these organized, almost crystalline structures.
Like snowflakes.
Sort of, yeah, in response to different vibrations. And those structures could then influence the biochemical reactions happening around them.
So water could have a kind of vibrational memory.
That's the idea some researchers are exploring. Like the water inside us acts as a resonant receiver and transmitter for these subtle vibrations.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting, but also maybe a bit controversial for some. Mainstream medicine can be cautious about bioresonance. Right?
Absolutely. And caution and rigorous research are always needed, definitely.
But are there scientific observations that hint at how this might actually work? Potential mechanisms?
Yes, despite the caution, there's a growing body of observations that do point towards possible mechanisms. It's not completely out of left field.
Okay, like what?
Well, first, just the basic principle of resonance itself. It's everywhere in nature, right?
Like tuning forks.
Exactly. Or bridges vibrating in the wind. It happens from mechanical stuff right down to the quantum level. When two things vibrate at similar frequencies, energy transfers between them really easily. Sympathetic resonance.
So the idea is you introduce the right vibration, and it resonates with the part of the body that's out of tune, nudging it back.
That's the fundamental concept, yeah. Second, there's the whole field of electromagnetic biology. It's constantly showing us how specific electromagnetic frequencies do influence cells.
We know EMF affects biology.
Right. Research shows effects on things like gene expression, how cells communicate, protein building, all sorts of things. So that gives a tangible basis for how external vibrations, which are electromagnetic in nature too, could interact with us biologically.
Okay, that makes sense. If our bodies use and respond to electromagnetic fields, maybe controlled external ones could have therapeutic effects.
Precisely. And one more thing. Biological systems are what we call nonlinear.
Nonlinear, meaning?
It means a small input doesn't always lead to a small output. Sometimes a really tiny signal, like a subtle vibration, can trigger a surprisingly large response in the system.
Like an amplifier effect.
Kind of, yeah. A small nudge can create significant change. This nonlinearity helps explain how seemingly weak vibrational therapies might actually produce noticeable effects in something as complex as the human body.
Okay, so we've gone from quantum fields to cells responding to frequencies. Let's zoom back out to the whole human body as this vibrational system. You mentioned different levels of vibration inside us.
Yes, exactly. It's not just one frequency. It's like a whole orchestra playing across different levels, all interconnected.
So starting small.
At the most fundamental level, you've got molecules and cells. Things like DNA, with its spiral structure and cell membranes, they all vibrate at specific frequencies. And like we said, maybe those microtubules are conducting quantum information too.
Okay, molecular and cellular vibrations.
Yeah.
Then bigger structures, tissues, organs.
Exactly. Different organ systems have their own unique vibrational signatures. The heart, for instance, generates a really powerful electromagnetic field. You can measure it several feet away.
Wow.
And brainwaves, they're basically the synchronized electrical rhythms of millions of neurons firing together. Different frequencies mean different states, like focused, relaxed, sleeping.
Right, alpha, beta, theta waves.
Even the digestive system has its own rhythms, its own frequencies for peristalsis, moving food along. The key thing is these systems aren't isolated. They're constantly talking to each other, influencing each other through complex feedback loops.
Like that symphony analogy you used.
It really is like that. A healthy body is like a well-orchestrated symphony, everything playing in harmony. Thinking about the heart's measurable field really gives you a sense of this inherent bioresonance.
It paints such a dynamic picture. You also mentioned an energy system level. That sounds intriguing, maybe touching on older ideas.
It does connect to some traditional systems, yeah. Think about meridians in traditional Chinese medicine, or chakras in yogic philosophy.
Energy pathways.
These systems describe networks of energy flow that aren't strictly anatomical in the way we usually think. But interestingly, some modern research is starting to find correlations between these traditional maps and the actual distribution patterns of the body's bioelectric fields.
So science might be finding some physical evidence for these ancient energy concepts.
It's an area of exploration suggesting there might be a subtle energetic framework underpinning our physical structure. Many ancient texts talk about this vital energy like chi or prana.
Fascinating overlap. What about our thoughts and emotions? Do they have a vibrational quality too?
Oh, absolutely. Our emotional states are definitely linked to specific bioelectric signal patterns in the body. You can measure changes.
You feel stressed, your body shows it.
Exactly. And our thoughts generate measurable brainwaves, like we discussed. Different frequencies for different mental activities. Generally, positive emotions tend to correlate with more harmonious, coherent bioelectric fields.
And negative emotions.
Persistent negative emotions, like chronic stress or anger, can potentially disrupt that harmony, creating sort of vibrational static or dissonance in the system.
So our inner world feelings, thoughts, creates its own vibrational signature that affects our physical health.
Yeah.
Everything really is connected.
It really seems to be. And from this bioresonance viewpoint, health is all about maintaining that dynamic vibrational balance across every level.
Okay. So disease then is like a disruption of that balance, a kind of vibrational disharmony.
That's a good way to put it, a disturbance in that delicate equilibrium.
What kinds of things can throw that balance off? How does this disharmony happen?
Well, there are a few key ways. One is frequency imbalance. That's when a specific tissue or organ starts vibrating at a frequency that's different from its optimal, healthy range.
What causes that?
It could be various things, maybe toxins building up, chronic stress, not getting the right nutrients, or even exposure to disruptive environmental things like certain kinds of electromagnetic fields. Think of it like a radio station drifting off frequency. You get static.
Right. Distorted signal leads to poor function. Makes sense. What about vibrational blockage?
That's more about the flow of energy being obstructed or slowed down somewhere. It leads to reduced vibrational intensity in that area.
Like a dam in a river.
Exactly. Traditional concepts like qui-stagnation talk about this. The energy just isn't moving freely, so that part of the system becomes kind of dim, vibrationally speaking.
Okay. And you also mentioned frequency and coordination. What's that?
That's when the different vibrational systems in the body stop synchronizing properly, they lose their harmonious timing and interaction.
I like the orchestra sections playing out of sync.
Perfect analogy. Even if each section is playing the right notes, if they're not together, the overall result is chaos, not music. It leads to overall functional disorder.
Got it. And the last one was external interfering vibrations.
Right. These are harmful vibrations coming from outside the body that mess with our natural biological rhythms.
Like what?
Could be certain environmental toxins that introduce their own disruptive frequencies, or maybe strong, incoherent electromagnetic fields from technology that interfere with our natural bioelectric signals, like trying to listen to a faint radio signal next to a loud buzzing machine.
So we're constantly navigating the sea of vibrations, trying to keep our own internal harmony. It's interesting you said bioresonance isn't just a modern tech thing. How do we see these principles in nature?
That's so important. This isn't just about gadgets. It's about consciously using phenomena that are already happening. Take interpersonal resonance.
Like feeling someone else's mood.
Exactly. You walk into a room and feel the tension, or someone's joy is contagious. We resonate with each other emotionally. That shows how we, as vibrational systems, influence and get influenced by others. Many spiritual texts talk about this interconnectedness.
That intuitive sense of connection or empathy?
Yeah.
That's a kind of resonance.
I think so, yes. And think about nature resonance. How do you feel when you're in a forest or by the ocean?
Calmer, usually. More grounded.
Right. Places like that often seem to have specific vibrational qualities that naturally promote balance in our own biofield. It might be why spending time in nature feels so good and is so healthy. Ancient cultures definitely knew this.
So it's not just the fresh air, it's the actual vibrational environment we're tuning into.
It's a very real possibility. And then there are circadian rhythms, our deep connection to natural cycles.
Like sleep-wake cycles.
Yes, but it goes deeper. Our biology is constantly tuning into cosmic vibrations, the Earth's magnetic field, the patterns of sunlight, even lunar cycles perhaps. These natural resonances set our internal biological clocks. They're absolutely fundamental for health. Think about traditional farming following moon cycles.
Wow, it's like we're intrinsically part of this huge, vibrating cosmic orchestra. Okay, let's get practical. How is this applied? You mentioned different methods, starting with sound, something we can actually hear.
Right. Sound is vibration we perceive directly, and it has a super long history in healing. Music therapy is a great example.
How does music therapy work vibrationally?
While different musical elements, rhythm, harmony, melody, can measurably affect our brainwaves, our heart rate, even our breathing. Research backs this up, showing certain music can help reduce pain, lower blood pressure, ease anxiety. It echoes how music was used in ancient rituals for healing.
I know people find music incredibly healing. Is the science catching up to that feeling?
It is, yeah, and it's getting specific. Think about the ancient Indian raga system.
Ragas. Those are specific musical modes, right?
Yes, and they traditionally link specific melodies not just to emotions, but to times of day and even therapeutic effects. It suggests a really deep intuitive grasp of how specific sound vibrations influence mind and body, knowledge passed down for centuries.
Like sonic prescriptions.
Yeah.
Fascinating. You also mentioned sound frequency technology.
Yeah, modern tech lets us be really precise. Binaural beats are one example.
How do they work again?
You listen through headphones to two slightly different frequencies, one in each ear. Your brain actually perceives a third frequency, the difference between the two.
And that does.
It can gently guide or entrain your brainwaves towards specific states. Frequencies associated with relaxation or focus or even deep meditation. It's like a modern way to achieve states that ancient cultures used chanting or drumming for.
So we can use sound tech to nudge our brain into different states.
Interesting. What about sound wave resonance therapy?
That often uses special instruments to send sound waves directly into the body's tissues. The aim is to bring those tissues into resonance, like vibrating the tissues themselves.
Kind of. Low-frequency sound, in particular, shows some promise for promoting cellular repair and regeneration, maybe by stimulating the body's own natural healing vibrations at that level.
A sonic massage for cells, maybe
Yeah.
encouraging repair.
That's one way to think about it. And don't forget our own voice.
Chanting, mantras.
Exactly. Practices like Tibetan throat singing or Gregorian chant create these incredibly rich, complex harmonic structures. These harmonics themselves can have powerful bioresonant effects. Plus, these practices usually involve specific breathing and focused intention, which amplifies the vibrational impact. It's using the voice as this ancient, powerful healing tool.
Sound seems incredibly versatile, from ancient chants to modern tech.
Yeah.
What about light and color? How they fit into vibrational therapy?
Well, light is also electromagnetic vibration, right? Different colors are just different wavelengths, different frequencies, and they have different biological effects.
So color therapy isn't just psychological.
It likely involves direct physiological responses too. Blue light, for instance, we know affects melatonin in our sleep cycle. Red light frequencies seem to stimulate cellular energy production, maybe help with tissue repair. This aligns with ancient ideas about colors having specific energies.
So the light frequency itself interacts with our biology, not just our perception of color.
That's the idea. And we see this in light treatment technologies. Specific wavelengths are used for things like seasonal affective disorder, or to regulate circadian rhythms, or even speed up wound healing.
Sorry.
There's also polarized light therapy. Controlling the orientation of the light waves seems to enhance effects, especially for skin conditions and pain relief. Maybe the coherence of the light matters.
Coherence, like making the vibration more organized?
Something like that. And then there's biophotonics. This is really subtle stuff.
Biophotons.
Yeah.
Light from our cells.
Exactly. Our cells actually emit incredibly weak light signals. It's thought this might be a form of cellular communication.
Cells talking with light.
Potentially. So biophotonic therapies try to regulate these subtle light signals to support health. It's almost like tapping into this luminous energy body that some esoteric traditions describe.
Wow. Subtle light communication. Okay, moving on to electromagnetic field therapy, or EMF therapy.
Right. This uses controlled electromagnetic fields, which are vibrations, remember, to directly influence the electromagnetic properties of our cells and tissues.
How is that done?
A well-researched example is PEMF, pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. Specific frequencies and intensities of magnetic pulses have been shown to help heal bone fractures, reduce inflammation, even affect neurological function.
And this is accepted in some medical contexts.
Yes, some PEMF devices actually have regulatory approval for specific uses. It really shows the body does respond to specific electromagnetic vibrations.
So using EMFs therapeutically, kind of like how the body uses its own internal EMFs.
That's the principle. Then you have resonance frequency devices. Going way back to pioneers like Royal Rife, the idea is to identify harmful frequencies, maybe from pathogens, and neutralize them, while maybe amplifying beneficial ones. The tech is more advanced now, but it's still an area needing more solid research.
Rife frequencies, I've heard of those.
Yeah.
And the Earth's field, the Schumann resonance.
Ah, yes, the Schumann resonances. These are natural electromagnetic frequencies in the Earth's atmosphere, the main one hovering around 7.83 hertz.
And that relates to us how?
Well, some researchers believe this frequency range aligns with some of our own brainwave patterns, particularly alpha and theta states. So some therapies try to help us resynchronize with this natural Earth frequency, thinking it's important for our well-being, like tuning back into our planet's hum.
Retuning to the Earth. I like that. And quantum field regulators.
Yeah.
That sounds very futuristic.
It is pretty cutting edge, yeah. These approaches aim to interact with the body's information field at a much deeper quantum level. The theories are complex, drawing from quantum physics, but the goal is to influence the fundamental informational patterns governing health. It's where physics meets maybe more esoteric ideas of an energy matrix.
It feels like we're probing deeper and deeper levels of subtlety, maybe touching on things ancient wisdom only hinted at. Okay, lastly, mind-body vibrational techniques. How do we influence our own vibrations?
Our inner states, thoughts, feelings, focus are incredibly powerful tools for this. Take meditation.
How is meditation vibrational?
Well, often it involves tuning into inner sensations, observing thoughts and feelings without judgment. That's a form of vibrational awareness, isn't it? And by shifting attention and intention, you can actually influence your own bioelectric fields, promote coherence. Contemplative traditions have known this for ages. Finding inner balance changes you.
So mindfulness isn't just mental, it affects our energy field.
That's definitely the implication. Breathing techniques, too. Specific ways of breathing create predictable physiological changes, which are vibrational.
Like deep, slow breathing.
Exactly. That activates the relaxation response, shifting your whole system towards calm, balanced vibration. It's fundamental in practices like yoga and pranayama.
And things like Tai Chi or Qigong.
Those energy movement systems use flowing movements, breath, and focused intention together. They're designed to harmonize and improve the flow of energy, or qi, while adjusting the vibrational characteristics of the biofield, promoting fluidity, balance, like unblocking those energy pathways we talked about.
A moving meditation that retunes you. And finally, emotional frequency transformation.
Right. We know emotions create specific bioelectric patterns, so consciously working to shift from, say, fear or anger towards gratitude or compassion actually changes your body's overall vibration.
So choosing your emotional state changes your frequency.
That's the idea. It's about consciously cultivating higher vibrational states, which many spiritual paths emphasize as key to well-being and transformation.
This is all incredibly rich. So many ways to engage with bioresonance. How is this playing out now in the real world? What about modern devices and tech?
Yeah, the tech side has really developed. There are bioresonance analysis systems now.
What do they do?
They try to assess the body's vibrational state. They might measure skin conductivity changes or subtle electromagnetic field variations around the body. The goal is to get a picture of where imbalances might be.
Like a vibrational checkup.
Kind of, yeah. And that assessment can then guide which interventions to use, making it more personalized. Then you have the treatment devices themselves.
What kinds?
It's a huge range. Simple sound or light generators, all the way to complex machines claiming to interact with electromagnetic or even quantum information fields.
Right.
There's also resonance information transfer tech. This is the idea of encoding specific frequency information onto something else, like water or maybe a homeopathic remedy, which is then taken by the person.
Imprinting vibrations onto substances, that sounds quite out there for some.
It is one of the more debated concepts for sure, but it resonates with older ideas of energetically charging substances. And finally, you have biofeedback resonance systems.
How do they work?
They create a loop. The device monitors your body's responses in real time, maybe heart rate variability or skin conductance, and adjusts the frequencies it's outputting based on those changes. It allows for a dynamic treatment that adapts as you respond.
So the tech is getting smarter, more responsive. Where are these approaches actually being used? What kind of clinical areas?
They're being explored in quite a few areas. Chronic pain management is one. Specific sound or EMF frequencies are being studied to see if they can modulate pain signals, potentially helping with things like arthritis or fibromyalgia. It lines up with historical uses of sound and energy for pain.
Offering options beyond just pills or surgery.
Potentially as a complementary approach, yeah. Stress and emotional regulation is another big area. Resonance technique sound, specific EMFs. Binaural beats are used to encourage relaxed brainwave states, possibly helping with anxiety, depression, even PTSD symptoms. Again, echoing ancient uses of rhythm and sound for calming the mind.
Okay. What else?
There's interest in immune system support research, looking if certain vibrations can influence immune cell activity. That could be relevant for autoimmune issues or chronic infections, but it needs more study.
A lot of potential, but still early days for some applications. What about energy and sleep?
Right. By trying to harmonize the body's overall vibrational field, some approaches aim to boost energy levels, fight chronic fatigue, and improve sleep quality by supporting natural biological rhythm.
And cognitive function.
Yeah, interestingly, certain frequencies are being explored to see if they can enhance focus, creativity, or mental flexibility. Potential applications in learning or peak performance, maybe?
It really sounds like trying to fine-tune the whole system energetically. Are these methods usually used alone or combined? And is becoming more personalized?
Definitely the trend is towards integration and personalization. The idea of assessing someone's unique vibrational state and tailoring a plan based on that is really gaining ground, moving away from one size fits all.
That makes sense. We're all biochemically unique. Why wouldn't our vibrations be unique too?
Exactly. And there's a lot of interest in multimodal synergy.
Meaning using different methods together.
Yes. Combining, say, sound, light, and EMF might be more effective because they work on different biological levels at the same time, creating a more holistic balancing effect.
Okay.
And it's not just about treatments. There's also emphasis on integrating these principles into daily life conscious food choices, designing living spaces with good vibes, fostering positive relationships.
So it becomes a lifestyle that supports resonance, not just an occasional therapy session.
That's the ideal, yeah. And one more point. Usually, gradual adjustments are better. Progressive changes allow the body's complex systems time to adapt safely and effectively. Big, sudden shifts might be jarring.
A gentle, holistic approach. Now, like any evolving field, especially one bridging science and maybe more subtle realms, there must be scientific questions, challenges.
Absolutely, and it's important to acknowledge them. Bioresonance faces ongoing scientific scrutiny, and rightly so.
What are the main hurdles?
One big one is just measurement and verification. These biological vibrations are incredibly complex and subtle. Our current tech is good, but it struggles to fully capture and quantify everything that's going on, both the body's state and the specific effects of a therapy. This makes rigorous validation really difficult.
Hard to prove scientifically if you can't measure it precisely with current tools.
That's a major part of it. Also, while we see effects in some studies, the exact mechanisms, how it actually works deep down, are often still being figured out for many of these therapies. Fields like quantum biology might eventually provide better explanations, bridging that gap between effect and understanding.
We see something happen, but don't fully know why yet.
Sometimes, yes. Then there's standardization and quality control. The market has all sorts of devices, varying hugely in quality and approach. Without clear standards, it's tough for anyone, practitioners or the public, to know what's reliable or effective.
That's a fair point. Consistency is key for credibility.
Definitely. And finally, the placebo effect. Because many vibrational therapies involve subjective feelings and self-reported improvements, it's always a challenge to clearly separate the specific vibrational effect from the powerful effect of belief and expectation. We need more really well-designed studies with good controls to untangle that.
All very valid scientific considerations.
Yeah.
So despite these challenges, where is the research heading? What's on the frontier?
Well, the future looks pretty exciting, actually. One key area is that deeper connection with quantum biology.
Exploring things like quantum coherence or entanglement in living systems.
Exactly. If these quantum effects are happening in biology, they could provide a much more fundamental explanation for how subtle energy interactions and resonance phenomena work. It might even connect with some of the more mysterious aspects of ancient healing ideas.
Quantum biology, where physics meets the mystery of life. What else?
The potential for truly precision vibrational medicine is huge. Imagine combining advanced sensors, maybe AI analysis of complex biological data, to create treatments perfectly tailored to your unique vibrational signature, adapting in real time.
Hyper-personalized vibrational therapy.
That's the vision. Also, there's fascinating early work on collective vibrational fields.
What's that?
Investigating if groups of people create a combined vibrational field and how it might affect the group's health, mood, or even social dynamics. Think about the power of group meditation or ceremonies.
The vibe of a crowd, but studied scientifically. Intriguing. You also mentioned cross-dimensional resonance.
Yeah, that's more speculative, exploring the link between consciousness itself and material vibrations. How do thoughts and intentions actually interact with the physical world at a vibrational level? It touches on mind matter questions that philosophers have pondered for ages, but maybe with new scientific angles now.
Wow. Pushing the boundaries of science and consciousness. So, bringing it back down to earth a bit,
All right.
where do you see bioresonance fitting best in the overall picture of health and medicine?
Ideally, I think its strongest place is within integrative medicine.
So, working with conventional medicine, not replacing it.
Exactly. Its potential seems greatest when used synergistically with standard care, potentially enhancing outcomes, offering more holistic options, making treatment more personalized.
Okay.
And it seems particularly promising for prevention and health maintenance, addressing subtle energy imbalances before they become full-blown physical illness.
Catching things earlier at an energetic level.
That's the hope. It also aligns really well with the growing desire for a more humanistic medicine, treating the whole person, mind, body, spirit, acknowledging individuality.
Right.
And ultimately, the goal isn't just about applying external frequencies, but about empowering the body's own amazing capacity for self-regulation and healing, helping it find its own harmony again.
It really comes back to that core idea of the body as this incredible self-healing system, and bioresonance as maybe one way to gently remind it of its natural harmonious state. This has been incredibly insightful. Thank you. It's such a multi-layered topic.
It really is.
The main takeaway feels like shifting our view of health. It's not just about fixing broken parts, but about cultivating this state of vibrational harmony from ourselves to our emotions, our thoughts. It resonates actually with a lot of ancient wisdom, doesn't it?
It certainly seems to echo many traditional perspectives.
Yeah, moving from just fighting disease to actively rediscovering inner harmony, connecting with life's natural vibrations, seeing health as this dynamic art of balance, constantly tuning into the rhythms around us and within us. It's exciting to think how this field might keep evolving, potentially blending that ancient wisdom with new scientific discoveries.
A fascinating intersection.
Whether it's through sound, light, nature, or just our own focused awareness, bioresonance really feels like an invitation to a more holistic, maybe more vibrant way of thinking about health. Not just treatments, but a way of living, connecting more deeply.
Well said.
And hey, for everyone listening, if you enjoy diving into the world of bioresonance with us, and you want more explorations like this into fascinating, maybe sometimes mind-bending topics, please do subscribe to the Deep Dive channel.
Yeah, your support really helps us keep these conversations going. We appreciate you tuning in.
Absolutely. And now, just a final thought to perhaps resonate with you until next time. How might truly understanding your own unique vibrational signature, your personal frequency, if you will impact the choices you make every single day and ultimately shape your overall sense of well-being, something to tune into?